Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. I want to present my presentation about the learning environment. Before that, I want to introduce my group. First, I am Riana Putri as first speaker, and the second speaker is Fadila. We are from group 5. Let's start the presentation. Definition. Learning environment refers to the diverse physical location, context, and cultures in which students learn. Since students may learn in a wide variety of settings, such as outside of school location and outdoor environment. The term is often used as a more accurate or preferred alternative to classroom, which has more limited and traditional uh, connotation, a room with rows of desks and a chalkboard, for example. The term also encompasses the culture of school or class, its presiding ethos and characteristics, including how individuals interact with and treat one another, as well as the way in which teachers may organize an educational setting to facilitate learning. The next slide is component of an effective learning environment. Developing a total learning environment for students in a particular course or program is probably the most creative part of teaching. While there is a tendency to focus on either physical institutional learning environment, such as classroom, lecture, theaters, and labs, or on the technologies used to create online personal learning environment. Learning environments are broader than just this physical component. They will also include the characteristic of the learner, the goals for teaching learning, the activities that will best support learning, the assessment strategies that will best measure and drive learning, the culture that infuse the learning environment. The next slide is characteristic of a positive learning environment. Students feel physically and emotionally safe. Students know that they are valued and respected regardless of other factors such as ability, gender, sexuality, race, ethnicity, and religion. Students have ownership and input related to class structure and expectation. All students are challenged to achieve high expectation, and all the students receive the support necessary to meet those expectations. Standards of behavior are established and are consistently and equitably enforced for all students. Class structure provides multiple and varied opportunities for students to experience success. The teacher gets to know all students and use that knowledge to create a meaningful experience. There is a positive rapport relationship between the teacher and the student and among students in class. The next. 10 ways teacher can create a positive learning environment. Number 1. Attach the student needs. Students like adults have not only physical needs but also important psychological needs for security and order. Love and belonging, personal power and competence, freedom and novelty, and fun. Number 2. Create a sense of order. Students need structure and want to know that their teacher how to manage his classroom. The important way to create a sense of order is by teaching students effective procedure for the many practical tasks that are performed in the classroom. For example, teach students how to enter the classroom and become immediately engaged in the learning activity. Number 3. Greet students at the door every day. As students enter your classroom, greet each one at the door. Explain that you want that student to make eye contact with you. Give you verbal greeting, a high five, fist bump, or handshake. This way, every student has had positive human contact at least one that day. It also shows you care about them as individuals. Number 4. Let students get to know you. Students come into classroom with preconceived perception of teachers. You would give students quiz about you during the first semester of school. You have them take out a piece of paper, take it 1 to 10, and answer the question about you. Things like where did you grow up, where did you live, and number 5, get to know your students. The more you know about your student cultures, interests, extracurriculars, activities, personalities, learning styles, goals, and mindset, the better you can reach them and teach them some ways of getting to know your students. Educate yourself about their culture, talk to them, exchange journal from, and read and respond to them. Okay, next.
And number 6 is avoid rewarding to control. Over 50 years of research has shown that incentives, gold stars, stickers, monetary rewards, and other bribes only serve to undermine students' intrinsic motivation, create relationship problems, and lead to students doing nothing without a promised reward. The human brain has its own reward system. When students succeed at a challenging task, whether it's academic or behavioral, their brains get a shot of endorphins. Instead of devaluing their successes with stickers or tokens, talk to students about how it feels to achieve proficiency and praise the effort, strategies, and processes that led them to the success. Then talk about what they learned this time that will help them achieve their next success. Number 7 is avoid judging. When students feel like they are being judged or labeled, they distract the person judging them. It's hard to judge a student who just sits there doing no schoolwork after you have done everything you can to motivate her. It's easy to see how we might call such students lazy, and it's easy to label the student who is constantly provoking and threatening peers as a bully. But judging and labeling students is not only a way of shirking our responsibility to teach them, but it also completely avoids the underlying problem. Instead of judging students, be curious, ask why. Once you uncover the underlying reason for the behavior, that issue can be dealt with directly, avoiding all the time and energy it takes the casual course and give consequences to students. And number 8 is employ class building games and activities. It's important to develop positive relationship with your students. It's equally important to develop positive relationships among them. One of the best way to break down the cliques within a classroom and help shy or new students feel a sense of belonging is to engage students in non-competitive games and cooperative learning structures. There are hundreds of resources online and in books that provide thousands of appropriate choices for your grade level. Another benefit of bringing play into the classroom is that it gives your students a very powerful reason to come to your class. Okay, the next is number 9, be vulnerable. Being vulnerable develops trust faster than any other approach. Admitting your mistakes shows that you are human and makes you more approachable. It also sends the message that it's okay to make mistakes in this classroom. That's how we learn. Vulnerability and public self-evaluation also help develop a growth mindset culture. We embrace mistakes rather than try to avoid them at all costs. We learn from those mistakes and grow. Make a simple mistake like spilling a glass of water or misspelling a word on the board, and instead of making excuse, talk about how you are glad you made that mistake because it taught you something. Number 10 is about celebrate success. At first, this may seem to contradict strategy 6 about avoiding rewards. It doesn't. A celebration is a spontaneous event meant to recognize an achievement. It is not hinted at or promised ahead of time like an if you do this then you get that reward. Instead, you might set a class goal such as the whole class achieving 80% or higher on an assessment. Chart students' progress on wall chart. After each assessment, discuss the strategies, processes, or study habits that students use to be successful and what they learn and might to do improve on the next assessment. Okay, move to the next slide. This is talking about parents create a positive learning environment in their children's schools. Number 1, encourage your school leaders to take survey measure the current climate at your child's schools and help to identify opportunity for improvement. Number 2, learn more about school safety efforts and how they can impact students. Number 3, learn more about personalized learning and advocate for it and other innovative instructional approaches that engage students. Number 4, ask your school leaders about the training and professional development opportunities in place for teachers that focus on the social and emotional needs of students. And the last is communicate to your school leaders about the need to incorporate parent, student, and community voice and feedback in any ongoing or future school climate improvement work. Okay, next slide is about types of learning environments. Okay, there are three types of learning environments that are the first type is face to face. Face to face or traditional learning occurs in person. This means that assignments, discussion, and activities occur in the classroom under the direction of an instructor. And next is online. Online learning occurs via an internet-based platform. The teacher sets up lessons and assignments ahead of time, and students complete them independently. And the last is hybrid. Hybrid learning utilizes both face-to-face and online learning environments. Students are scheduled to meet for class in person, but also required to do work independently online. Okay. And the last is conclusion. Students learn in many different ways in very different contexts. Since learners must do the learning, the aim is to create a total environment for learning that optimizes the ability of students to learn. There is, of course, no single optimum learning environment. There is an infinite number of possible learning environments, which is that makes teaching so interesting. Okay, that's all our explanation about the learning environments. Thank you, and the last I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.